Welcome to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand.
Yes, good evening and welcome back to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand. I hope you're all well. Listen, before we even talk about the game, I hope you had a great Christmas and I hope you're still continuing to have a great festive period. Obviously, New Year's Eve not too far away, a new year coming up too. So obviously we all want that as soon as possible. Let's get rid of 2020, even though it's crazy to say that the year Liverpool first won the league. Thanks to all of you guys getting involved in the comments already. Before I bring our two guests in today, please remember, hit us with a like. I know we haven't won the game today and I know it's sad, but you can still hit us with a like. It's too easy for you not to do. Please share it as well and obviously subscribe to get those numbers up as well. Right, Liverpool 1, West Bromwich Albion 1. Hugely disappointing. As you can see in the title, I've made a bit of fun about Big Sam's formation that he employed today. I went for a 7-2-1. I mean, I've never in my life seen a team defend that deep at Anfield before. I'm going to bring in Darren Whelan, who's always a regular on the show. 1-1, Daz. Happy Christmas. Happy belated to you, of course, mate. Appreciate that for coming on. But yeah, talk to me, man. How are you first and foremost, and your reaction to what was really a really disappointing result tonight?
Yeah, happy Christmas to you too, Alex, and all good in the hood on my end of things. Thankfully enough, I suppose the most important thing is that everyone was safe, and that's happened. Usually disappointing tonight. 2 points dropped. It was a great opportunity to give ourselves a big advantage going 5 clear. So to only go 3 clear, just shows the standards we've set and where we're at the moment as a club, that we're all disappointed to not have went 5 points cleared. And yeah, it was just one of those games. I mean, I predicted going into the game was going to be 3-0. I was saying we keep a clean sheet, and after 20 minutes of the game, I said this could be more. I probably should have said we'd get 4 or 5. And I thought first half we were really good. We were dominant, but we were a bit pedestrian, a bit slow, a lot of sideways passing. That intensity, that energy wasn't there like we always see at Anfield. And I don't think it was much fatigue or a lot of game time of late because we haven't played in 8 days. And the last time we played, obviously, we come off the back of a huge win at Palace, where it was demolition, really. So yeah, I'm disappointed, Alex. I thought West Brom overall deserved to draw. Second half, I think it was 5 to 6 minutes into the second half, they'd more touches in their box than they had in the whole of the first half. So that summed it up, really. Matip off injured again. Keita doesn't make the squad. He's injured again. It's very frustrating, I suppose, at the moment with injuries and the same players all the time appearing to get injured. We need them now more than ever. It's getting to a busy, intense Christmas period, New Year. The FA Cup's going to be kicking in now as well shortly, where we've a huge game going to Villa. So it's overall disappointing and frustrated, Alex. And I think with 60 minutes gone out of that game, you could see they were there, the frustrators. Yeah. The 2,000 people in the game were a little bit more quiet tonight than when we played Wolves and Spurs, because you could just see West Brom just had that trick up their sleeve, sit back, hold off, and we can get Liverpool here and cause them problems. And they did do that. And I mean, honest to them, we all kind of slated City when they drew at home to West Brom, but tonight we weren't any better. I thought it was very lacklustre second half, and just not good enough, not creative or clinical enough in the second half. I wouldn't even say clinical because we didn't create enough to be clinical. But yeah, frustrated, I suppose, like yourself and most Liverpool fans after seeing that tonight.
Yeah, I gave I put a tweet out a couple of weeks ago. I think it was after it was the game when Keita and Matip both got injured, Darren, and there was a lot of calls around the time for maybe Keita especially. Matip seemed to have come into some form since then, so he's gone under the radar a bit. Magically played 2 or 3 games in a row. Today it just looked like a completely innocuous injury. No one around him. It looks like a groin tweak. I mean, there's a few comments in here. Bobby Dazzler season says, give up on Matip and Keita. And then David says something very similar just up here. Matip made of glass, sell him too. And Haroon saying the worst feeling to drop a point to a team in the relegation zone. I mean, I'm going to ask you this question again, Darren. It's come up so many times throughout this season already. It's that January transfer window. Matip injured again. Reece Williams comes in and through no fault of his own is put under a lot of pressure really from a miss pass from Curtis Jones, which goes out for the corner, which they subsequently score from. But without Matip there, we definitely invited pressure along ourselves. I'm going to ask you again, January, centre-back, what do we do?
Yes, I always said we need to sign in January because Matip is our only senior centre-back fit at the club. I thought Nat Phillips and Reece Williams have done well and coming in there to cover, but consistently and reliability going through big games, and the intensity of from January now to May, where we've a lot of football to be squeezed in because of the project restart. And then if Fabinho got injured, which he has had his fair share of injuries as well, being at the club, but nowhere near what Keita or Matip have had. I still think we do, Alex. I think we certainly need a centre half. I think Reece Williams, as I said, Nat Phillips, they've done well, but to expect them to give a 8, 9, 10 out performance every week is asking for too much. And I was on here a couple of weeks ago, yourself, James and Doyle, talking about I would love to see us bring in David Alaba from Bayern, very experienced, peak of his career, very versatile player. I think with Gini going next summer, which looks more inevitable now than it did a while ago, he'd be a great player to also put into midfield for next season because he can play in a variety of positions. He is a real serial winner, but it looks like he's not going to be moving anywhere in January. So who do we bring in? There are options out there. We're going to obviously have to pay over the odds than what they're worth. But look, I mean, it's something that the club have to do in order to go with back-to-back titles. I feel we will need a centre-half in. I don't want to be going down the road of seeing Fabinho the rest of the season as centre-back or bringing in Jordan Henderson or anything like that. But Matip, I think Klopp came out at the end of the game there and says it was abdominal area and possibly groin as well, it could be, and doesn't sound too good, but we'll wait and see. It happened a few weeks ago where he got injured and only missed the game. So yeah, it's very frustrating with Matip. It's one game in, 2, 3 games out, and then one back in. And he's a really good centre half. You know, he's pivotal to us when he is fit and playing. But unfortunately, we don't get availability as much from him.
Well, let's talk about the good things that happened in the game. Let's take it way back to the start. A really aggressive start from Liverpool. And I think it was 11 minutes in, Joel Matip got the assist. He pings it kind of chest height or at least stomach height. To Mane. He's managed to chest it up into space and continued his run and absolutely slams it in the bottom left corner. Scored back in the goals last week, Mane, another one tonight. And then at that stage, Daz, you're looking at it thinking, well, 1-0 up after 15 minutes. Let's turn this into 3, 4, 5. But after that, I genuinely can't remember us having too many chances. I think Salah in the second half had a great header under the bar at the Kop end. Should have at least got that on target. But apart from the first 15 minutes, we actually didn't create that much. And Sam Johnstone in goal, apart from that unbelievable save that he's made right on the 90th minute when Firmino heads it down into the ground, he didn't have too much to do. And if a keeper who is representing a team who are 20th in the league and he hasn't got much to do, it's our own fault tonight. Although Sam can walk away thinking, right, that's 4 draws in a row I've got against Liverpool. I've got their number, which I guess in a way he has. Because it seems like we just cannot break down Sam Allardyce teams. 83% possession in the first half, Daz. It was a record in the Premier League so far. I mean, how did we not capitalise on taking it up another level?
It was also a record of Jordan Henderson passes in the first half as well. But as I said, we were very pedestrianised in the first half. It was a bit slow. The intensity and energy wasn't there tonight, especially in the first half. I've said at half time to me mate, look, I mean, we need that second goal. And West Brom would have been really pleased going in at half time, only 1 down. When you look at all that possession, the chances Liverpool had, although we hadn't got really clear, as you said, chances. We'd one shot, I think, on target where Mane, we'd Salah were a half chance, a couple of half chances in the second half. But I suppose we got a lot of balls into the box in the second half, but there didn't seem to be anybody there. Andy Robertson, a few good chances with Mane linking up in the second half. But we lacked intensity, we lacked energy. We weren't as clinical, obviously, or as sharp tonight. And yeah, West Brom, they did deserve it. Sam definitely has a card marked. You know, he's had 4 draws. It just shows his expectations as well. He hasn't actually beaten us there. He was the last manager to beat us there with Palace. It was April. You'd have to go back to 2017. So there was no really positives tonight other than we didn't get beat. But a draw was definitely a fair result, I think, for both teams. The one positive I will take out of it is it's another year we're unbeaten a full calendar year at Anfield. It's 67 now games unbeaten at Anfield. It's, I suppose, something small to take away of a disappointing day for Liverpool, and all the results went away as well the weekend coming into this. So it's a lot of points dropped this season, away to Everton, away at Brighton. We did another couple of games this season where we dropped points. Just overall frustrated and disappointed, Alex, are the main things today. And I think if we had had that bit more flair, like a Thiago in there, Oxlade-Chamberlain comes on early, we would have had probably more chances in the game and better chances. So it's disappointing. But we're going into a big game now away at Newcastle. We have a great record going to St James's Park. We're still top of the league. We're ahead of Everton. They're not going to, by any means, overtake us. It's just overall disappointing, as I said, especially other teams the weekend all dropped points, our rivals, and we would have been placed going into today, as I thought it was a dead-on 3 points for us today, and not handy. I knew it was going to be very frustrating and one of those games from Big Sam, but I didn't think we were going to be as bad as we were today.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about how West Ham set up to play. They obviously knew their game plan at the start. There was a comment said actually at half-time when the teams were coming out. They said, does Sam change anything? I mean, he's playing so defensively. They're still only 1-0 down. Did they change anything? And they didn't. In the second half, it was exactly the same as the first. In the first half, there was a few instances, Daz, you all have seen it, where our centre-backs were literally halfway into their half, and you had 10 players behind the ball for them, and 11 players for us into their half. I mean, I've seen Liverpool, play against some teams that really do set a low line against us at Anfield, but I've never seen anything as deep as that. Big Sam knew exactly what he was trying to do today, and for some reason, we just can't seem to play against him at Anfield. He's going to go away absolutely buzzing. And Chelsea, Leicester, United drop points. What a great chance it would have been if we start adding up these Brightons aways, the Fulhams aways, the Evertons tonight. I mean, you're looking at maybe 15 points that we're not 15 points off of last season's total at this stage, I'd say. And that's what it comes down to. The only thing really to take out of this was Chamberlain looked direct when he came on, definitely gave it away a couple of times. But it looks like Thiago is going to be back in contention for the next one, Daz. Newcastle on the 30th, always a tough away fixture.
Yeah.
Who would you start at centre-back for that one now?
Well, it looks like Reece Williams is now possibly preferred to Nat Phillips. So I think Nat Phillips at home to West Ham and away to Brighton was our man of the match. He was superb in them 2 games. But we've seen Reece Williams getting more game time now. I think he obviously is registered to play in the Champions League, and Nat Phillips isn't. So that's he's obviously going to get more game time. But I like Nat Phillips. He's an old style centre back. He has that bit more experience, a bit more age over Reece Williams. He kind of keeps it a bit more simple than Reece Williams. Reece isn't the fastest player. But look, he's a kid. He's only, I think Reece Williams, is he 19? He was at Kidderminster a year ago. For the player and where he's come from, he's doing really, really well. He's probably gone above and beyond for his expectations. So I think Reece Williams looks like, tonight Matip comes off, Nat Phillips is on the bench as well, and Reece gets the nod ahead of him. So to me, that says he's in contention to start at Newcastle. I think Fabinho obviously will play again at Newcastle, and I think it's a great time now to be bringing back Thiago. I mean, it's just the stature, the pedigree of Thiago, world class. It's a great time to bring him back. He's that creative spark, bit of creativity, bit of world class that we need, that experience. So it seems like it's a great time for them to come back. Just hopefully no more injuries. Keep the front 3 fit. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, Jota's back. And I don't think now we play at home, do we, until we play United mid-January. So hopefully we have a bit more ground over them than what we do now going into that game. So we've a lot of big games coming up, a lot of away games now. We've Southampton away, Newcastle away, Villa away in the Cup. So look, we're more than capable of winning these games, and we're more than capable of going out and putting a couple past them and dominating these games, as we've seen a couple of times this season. But we've dropped too many points this season already so far. If you look at the points we've had now compared to last season, but I think it's hard to look back and compare us really, because everybody has done a bit worse this season than what they have last season, because we're still on top. We've good goal difference now. We've 3 points ahead of the rest. So It's not too bad, Alex, but it's
Not too
disappointing.
bad.
We should be at least 5 or 6 points clear. When you look at the 2 points at Everton, at Brighton that we dropped, particularly Fulham as well, although Fulham were good in the day, so give them credit where credit's due. It's not too bad, but I understand where you're coming from. We should be ahead of the rest, head and shoulders by now, at least 6 points, I think, if not 7.
Yeah, I'm going to bring in Theo Woods now, obviously, part of the Kop Kids offering that we have here. His best mate, Welford, I think is actually in Dubai. I think he got a flight to Dubai today. So it's all right for some, Welford. I hope you're enjoying yourself. But Theo, in the away kit, love this. Oh, is that the third kit? I get confused. Is it away or the third kit? I'm not too sure. How are you doing, mate?
Just frustrating. See us once again drop points to a team that we shouldn't really be dropping points to. But you know, the first half we looked strong. We scored quite early on, and you thought we could go on to get 4 or 5 here. Because West Brom was showing, no attacking intent really, and then it worked for them really, just sitting back and defending, and then second half for the goal, I don't know what Jones was doing. Where I don't think I've seen a few people trying to blame Williams, but I think
no, it's not Williams' fault. Definitely Jones.
Yeah, Jones was at blame for that one. We just a bit sloppy, defensively, because we didn't. As much as we did have a lot more possession than West Brom, we didn't create too many, clear chances. So yeah, it's just a frustrating result, really.
Yeah, frustrating all round. You could see from the outset what Big Sam was trying to do, and then I actually think, if anything, West Brom played better than us in the second half. They showed a bit more. I mean, for me, it just felt a bit like we weren't close. We weren't quick enough to close them down. They had a lot of time on the ball, which was actually us in the first half. It completely, the role was completely reversed in the second half. I'm pretty sure Sam must have said, "Stay what you're doing," and then, as we thought, on set pieces, they're gonna be hurtful, and they were. They actually worked the cross for the set piece really well. You could see that the corner option wasn't it, and they made a quick transition, then got the cross in. Great header, to be honest. But Darren, on the actual goal itself, I mean, listen, it is a good header. Is there a shout to say that Alisson should have saved that? Because if you watch it from the angle, it hits the post, and then he kind of misses the ball entirely. I think he actually could have, after it hitting the post, just got rid. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he said at the time he could have done a bit better. But look, I think Alisson has been superb. He's world class, and you've seen that save that he pulled off from Grant earlier in the half when he just beat Reece Williams for pace. So, I look, it's Curtis Jones, really, isn't it? He gives it away. It was sloppy. He was a bit naive trying to play around with it. So, yeah, I don't want to blame Alisson. He could have done better on it, but he's been brilliant for us this season. He hasn't put a hand wrong, let's say, or a foot wrong when it's come back to him. So, I don't want to be too harsh on him, Alex.
David here, Darren, has said it's an own goal. Look at the replay. It's come off Alisson's foot. So we have to get some kind of replay on that goal. If
we'll have to get a replay, a VAR on that, I think, David. Yeah.
But from what I've seen, I'm Alisson, right? The ball's come over my head. I've gone round to look at the post, and it's kind of bounced back along the line, and I've just failed to pick it up. I thought it was well within his reach, to be honest. Theo, what did you think on that one? Could he have saved that?
Yeah, I mean, when it came off the post, and I wasn't sure whether it was in or not, and then I saw the ball wasn't over the line, and I saw Alisson sort of. It looked like he sort of just lost his foot in a bit, where I think he maybe attempted to try and cut it off the line, but just maybe mess up a bit. But yeah, I think that was really the only thing Alisson did maybe wrong tonight. Because I think his save when they were 1-on-1.
David's saying here his foot sent it in.
I mean, I don't know. Adamant. I didn't see. I have to have a look at a replay on that.
I didn't see that either, Theo. No. That's cool.
I'd like to get a clip of this. If anyone is watching and has a clip of that, please tweet us, and I will get it up on this stream right now. If anyone has proof that was an Alisson own goal, send me the video and I'll tweet it and put it out right now, and we'll discuss it on the show. I mean, I personally think Alisson did everything right up until that moment. that the lad who scored, Jay, has obviously just come off the back of an unbelievable performance away at West Brom. They've drawn there and they've drawn at Anfield. I mean, 3 points ahead, it's not the end of the world, but it does make, Darren, that January the 17th game against Man United that little bit more important now and a bit more crucial, considering that we should have really pulled away a little bit more than we did tonight.
Absolutely. But look, I mean, I still think we're head and shoulders above the rest, and I'm not being too optimistic, let's say, or being biased saying that. And I know a lot of people will say, well, I am being, but I'm not. I just think realistically and open-mindedly, we're way ahead the rest. Obviously, we've had our slip-ups this season, but when you take into contention the players we've had injuries, the timing of the injuries, how the VAR decisions as well that went against us, because we seem to forget about some of those decisions that went against us, particularly going back to the derby, where I blame VAR on that. I mean, I blame the refereeing decisions that day, where there was clearly 2 points dropped, where if we got one decision that day, it's a red card and we want to win it, or the goal at the end what Henderson puts in stands, which it really should have. So look, I still think, lads, we will pull away as time goes on. I think it is a marathon, it's not a sprint, and over 38 games the league has won. We all knew going into this season with the Project Restart, with no pre-season, with the intensity of games, with a jam-packed season of 9 months of football converted into 8, that we were never going to be runaway leaders and get anywhere near the points tally what we got last season, and certainly we weren't going to go on and win it by 18 points. But I've seen enough for us this season, with the squad that we have, with the players that we're still waiting to come back into contention, and that will give us a real lift, a big spark, will give us more creativity, will add more, enhance more experience in the team. So I'm not looking back at anybody and thinking, oh, I have any fear of Chelsea, of City. They haven't shown nowhere near enough consistently that they're going to keep up with us. Spurs particularly as well, 1 point in the last 3, and I think they will drop points at Wolves tonight. United, definitely not. I think they've gotten away with it a lot this season when you look at some of the late goals, decisions for them. But look, credit where credit's due. United are in a great position. Everton as well. And I mean, look, as the season goes on, we will win it, lads. There's no doubt about it. But certainly we do want to get a bit more results together. We want to be particularly more points ahead of United than what we are now and going into that game, because obviously they'll think, oh, it's a title decider and the rest that goes with it, But we all know deep down, and I think most United fans will know too, that they're not in a worse this season, lads. Absolutely not. I'm not pointing into that.
Yeah, Go Power says here, Theo, Alex, it's time we take little risk in the transfer market and get it assessed as we go further in UCL, because otherwise we go cheap, lose the teams and get sent out from the competition. I think what he's trying to say is we have to be a little bit ruthless and a bit more cutthroat now in the transfer window and markets in general. We should sell Keita biscuit bones, says Rehan. And then a couple of others agree with him. I think this is now the time in January, maybe not January, but definitely the summer now, to finally just get rid of those. And I hate calling them liabilities, because Keita, Matip, they are good players. They are. But we simply just can't rely on them for injuries. And it's sad to say it, but I think Rehan's got a point there. I think Keita and Matip both go in the summer.
Yeah, they're just... You see, Matip, he started off that brilliant ball to assist Mane, but he's just injury prone. Obviously, it was only a few weeks ago where he went off. In fact, I think it was game before last against Fulham where he went off injured as well. Came back and then he's off injured again. And it's with Keita, he never does seem fully fit. Even if he is playing, which he. It's rare to see him in the team. It's always he's just come back from an injury or he's still carrying a little knock. So, yeah, I think he is right. And I think we do need to start to, maybe sell some of these players in order to get players who aren't as injury prone and maybe a bit younger in the team. Obviously, Keita is still young, but he is very injury prone.
Yeah, still only 26, got time. But really, do we have the time to offer him? At this stage, I think you look at players like James Milner, who is probably 10 years older than Keita, but yes, of course, he has had some injury problems this season, but over the span of the last 2 or 3 years since Keita's been, I'm pretty sure Milner's played more games than Keita. That might be an outrageous comment, but I'm pretty sure Milner's had the same, if not more. Darren, bad guitarist here, funny name. We were not good enough today, but we should be happy that we didn't lose. I mean, it does extend that unbeaten run in the Premier League to 3 calendar years now, which of course is amazing. 66 still unbeaten, but it almost felt like a loss today, didn't it, Darren? I think when you concede so late on at home, last 10 minutes especially, it did feel like Sam had won today.
It did, yeah. You're playing a team that's on top is playing the team that's on bottom. So to lose any points today, and especially late on, it's going to be frustrating. But I think the second half, look, they just had more of a go. They kept possession a bit better. They were more creative. They, as I said, 5 minutes into the second half, they had more touches in our box than they had in the whole first half. So I think not finishing them off in that first half, Alex, come back on us. We had a chance to get 2 or 3 goals on them when we were really dominant, especially in that opening 20, 25 minutes. But as I said, we were a bit pedestrianised, a bit side to side. There was no intensity, no energy. And I think that's what's dropped us the points today. We're just not doing that. It was a bit of an off day. We've had a couple of them this season. There's no excuses leaving it today saying that VAR or injuries or anything like that. With Matip going off, it didn't make any difference for us, I don't think, in today's game. But it is. But we went into the game 2 points on top, and we leave the game 3 points on top. So that's something to take away from the game. I know it's nothing big, but it's still something. It's still a point more. It's better than nothing. And it's 3 full calendar years now where we're unbeaten at home. It's 67 Anfield games unbeaten, which is phenomenal, by the way. And it just shows the expectations and standards that we have now, to where maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we would have been a lot more happier after results like that, because we'd be more looking at the records and, oh, we're on top, we're 3 clear, we're not just 2 now. But the expectations and the barriers are set so high, especially after how well we've done the last 2 seasons, that these little results at home, even when other teams have dropped points, really do get to us, don't they? So, but it's a good thing, I suppose, that we have those expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. Theo, some quotes coming in from Carragher on Joel Matip. It's a massive worry, but not a new worry. Joel Matip will not play every game between now and the end of the season. You knew that before the injury today, and that's why it's paramount that they sign someone in January. As soon as Van Dijk had his injury against Everton, Fabinho looked like a top-class centre-back in that position. But Joel Matip is too injury-prone and can't take the rigours of Premier League football. I don't mean to bring in a 70 million signing like Van Dijk was, but someone who can come in, which would mean Liverpool won't be left with just 2 young lads at centre-half. I mean, we've kind of been I'm in and ahhing about, do we actually need one in January? Do we now rely on what we've got? But if Carragher's saying it so openly now that, yes, they have to go in and buy someone in January, do you think that's the type of thing that would actually make Klopp want to go out and buy him, another centre-back more? Or do you think the fact that everyone's telling him to buy a centre-back might actually have him say, actually, I'm very confident in the lads here, and it's all you saying that you want me to buy a centre-back is making me not want to buy one?
See, with Klopp, it's very like, he's not, if one player's injured or one player's not performing, he doesn't tend to just replace them. And, you know, other than like Van Dijk, Thiago, Alisson, he doesn't really make like big money signings. He normally brings in the likes of players like Robertson, who he develops and stuff. So I don't know. For me, I think for sure we need, in my opinion, we need a new centre back to come in. But whether or not Klopp will, because he's known for just developing maybe the likes of Nat Phillips or Reece Williams, maybe he won't. But I think if he is to bring one, the one that they're talking about right now is Kabak from Schalke. They're talking about him, and I also saw something the other day about they're going to put an offer in for Militao from Real Madrid.
Benfica. Real Madrid. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that one. Darren, I think he's muted himself. Have you, mate? There you go. He's back.
Sorry, just a question for Theo. Who would you like us to see sign?
Well, I mean,
as a centre back.
Yeah, I think obviously Kabak is a very good young prospect, but I've heard that he has a bit of a bad attitude from different sources and stuff, and I think in that Liverpool team, that's not what Klopp wants. And with Militao, obviously, I think he'd come at a big fee if he was to sign, and for me, I just can't see that happening. The one that I really, really, really did want to happen was Alaba, but it doesn't look as much like that's going to happen now, which is a shame. It looks like he's going to stay at Bayern. So yeah, as long as it's someone who, I'd rather it be someone who's had a bit of experience than someone really young.
Upamecano.
Yeah, again,
we're just going to be held to ransom though, Daz, in January. It's just not possible. I like what.
Well, there's a good centre back off Ajax. Per Shores looks really good.
Yeah, he looks okay, but again, man, like they know that we need someone so desperately, and they're just going to pull our trousers down. Look at what North Red says here. We won't buy anyone. We'll try and wing it. I'm fuming. Outmaneuvered by Sam. Effing crook. Allardyce. Salah was brutal. Should have been off. Obviously, Origi replaced Firmino very late on in the game. I mean, there's so many different things that people can throw up, the names, the ways in which we're going to get them. But realistically, I'd say it, lads, but I think Klopp is going to be stubborn and not buy anyone. And I don't care how many centre-backs get injured. I don't think he'll buy one. I genuinely don't. If we get 3 weeks into the window and we've not bought anyone, don't expect that we're going to get anyone. Because that window is coming round. I mean, what? It's the 27th today. The window opens in 3 days, 4 days. If we haven't got one in the next 2 weeks, we're not going to get one.
I would hope. You're wrong. I really do. Look, I'm a bit 50-50 on him myself, Alex. I understand where you're coming from. He hasn't really come out and said that we need a centre back. He's put a lot of faith in young Reece and Nat Phillips, but he's had nobody else. I just think we need to. I really do. I think if we go through now to the end of the season without a centre back with the injuries that Matip gets, Fabinho, obviously, as I said earlier on the programme, is injury prone as well. You're not going to get away with putting Henderson at centre back or Wijnaldum. Not when it comes to the big games, the real big crunch clashes, because there is going to be big league crunch clashes now between now and the end of the season, because we're not the distance we are ahead of the rest as we were this time last season. So hopefully he does bring in someone. He could surprise us all. I don't think he's going to spend big money, but he could surprise us all and bring in someone that we're not linked to it, like what he done with Jota when we were all talking about Ferner, and look how that turned out. So I just want to remain optimistic and positive about it. I think he knows now we need it, and he's normally addressed areas that need strengthening. When the summer saga went on around Thiago, there was a lot of people saying we need Thiago, nobody else, just sign him, get it done. There was a lot of that. You would have seen it yourself on social media, Alex, on Twitter, and that. So we ended up getting him, and it was all just, well, look, trusting the process, trusting the man that's got us here, that's won us so much. So I'm going to go with that attitude into it and hope it is addressed.
Right, introducing a new perspective on things today. Man like Stro hasn't been on the channel in a while. It's really good to see you, my bro. Really happy. First and foremost, fuck the football off. How are you? How was your Christmas, brother?
I'm good, man. How's everyone's Christmas?
Yeah, all good, G. All good. Right, mate. Talk to us about that one. You have, like I said, haven't been on the channel for a while. We wish you would have come on in better circumstances, but it was a weird one, that game. Definitely one of two halves, Stro. It's almost like we just swapped over at halftime.
Yeah. The thing that stands out is everyone, rival fans, are going to jump on Allardyce masterclass. If Curtis Jones wasn't so wasteful, and listen, I'm his biggest fan. I think he's phenomenal talent. The corner comes from his mistake, and his lackadaisical outside of the foot pass, and then it loops up, and then Reece Williams tries to nod it back. They didn't look like scoring until that point, and then that gave them a bit of, once they scored, you know how it is in games like that, the momentum completely shifts into their favour, and we never look like scoring again. So that's the frustrating thing, because it was in our hands, and we were awful in that second half, absolutely awful. We were literally, you knew exactly what we were going to do. We were going to get it out. We were going to get it out wide. We're going to put it into the box, and we just never looked threatening, and that's the frustrating thing now. Alex, I don't know if you've seen this, but for those watching, and obviously the lads who are on the show as well, is I've been told we're not buying the centre-back, period, because a certain Mr. Virgil van Dijk is back light training, which no one knows about, and apparently he's due to come back middle of February. a lot sooner than what people expected. So from what I've been told, I was on a show with James Redmond in Careers, we're not buying a centre-back in January. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, something that I literally just said a couple of minutes ago, and I think a few people agree with me, especially David here, saying he agrees he knows Klopp and that he won't buy. Let's try and forget about the centre-back sort of conundrum at the minute, and let's talk about the midfield, because it was really nice to see Shaqiri back on the bench tonight, Milner back, and the Ox starting to come back. I mean, Stro, I know we will come to you, Theo, on this as well, just after Stro, but I know you tweeted earlier to say that, it's looking like Thiago is going to be back for Newcastle. If we can put together a little 3-game run of Newcastle, Southampton, and I think it's Villa before the United game, who starts in that United midfield for me? Let's just say that we get through these 3 games with all those names back in contention. Who starts?
Ginny, Thiago, Henderson. Now that's purely if Thiago gets a good run of games and gets his fitness back to where he is, because in a game against Manchester United, where realistically it will be the best home record against the best away record. Now, obviously, things can change in that. We don't know how United are going to fare. I think they've got Wolves coming up and stuff like that. So in a game like that, it's going to be key, and we need to be a lot more careful with the ball. And listen, he's young, but you need to highlight the certain points. So if that's Thiago in that, and he receives the ball on the half turn, Thiago doesn't make that kind of mistake with that pass. They don't get a corner from that. And Thiago's key, and Thiago will be key for us for the rest of the season if he remains fit. So for me, if he gets a good run of games leading into that United game, that's the midfield 3 I go with, because the other 2, they're reliable, they're absolutely solid. Henderson's been phenomenal for the past, ever since Klopp took over, to be honest. He just completely revolutionised Henderson as a midfielder, from fans wanting him out, wanting him to go as part of the Dempsey deal, to being, when he's not there, you notice he's not there, because he does absolutely everything that wants to highlight. And that's what frustrates me, is rival fans like, he's got wobbly knees, he's an awful midfielder. It's like, well, wait a minute, take this man out of our midfield. At times it's non-existent, our midfield, when he's not there, and you even see him today screaming Curtis Jones down the line. It's like, go on, son, you can't underestimate the leader that this man is. And Wijnaldum's he's a tank, he's a unit, and I pray to God that we get his contract extension done, but they're the 3 that I'd go with.
Yeah, Theo, obviously a few games to go until that United game. It was almost as if United were forgot about as title contenders yesterday after Everton went back to second. Who is the team that we now need to worry about the most, Theo? Because it does seem to change every single 3 days, I'd say.
Yeah, we've had Everton behind us, we've had Tottenham behind us, we've had United behind us, we've had Leicester behind us. They're just constantly changing. But I think as the season goes on, despite them not showing form at the minute, and not being as strong as people would have expected, I still think we can't rule out City out of that title race, despite them being a lot lower down the table than we thought they'd be. I think with a team and a bench as strong as City's, as the season goes on and more players start to get injured for teams, I think they will start to climb the table, and I think at the minute it is probably United and Leicester who we are looking out for.
United and Leicester, right?
But I think as the season goes on, when we get to around March, maybe we'll probably be between us and City again, in my opinion.
Yeah, hopefully we can see a lot more of what you've got there behind you, Jurgen, and Hendo lifting trophies. We absolutely love that. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it there for tonight. Liverpool 1, West Bromwich Albion 1. Shocking performance, really, especially in the second half. What have we got next? Who have we got next? It's Newcastle away on the 30th, isn't it? Obviously, we won there in lockdown. Divock Origi scored the winner. And we have got a good record there. And listen, who here wants to see Thiago start that next game against Newcastle? I think
we all do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to happen, lads. Listen, Darren, Stro, Theo, thanks for coming
Pleasure,
on.
lads.
It's been a little bit of a quieter show. Normally, we've got the shouting James and Doyle lad, but they're both doing up Christmas stuff. So, yeah, thanks to you guys for coming on. It's Sunday, of course. We'll be back on Tuesday with Top of the Cops, Cop to Bottom on the Thursday. And we should have episode 1 of Cop Bins coming out very soon as well. So, lads, please do keep an eye out for that one. And I will see you all very soon. Take care, my brothers.
Yes, all, lads. Take care. Have a good evening.
There you go then, ladies and gents, boys and girls. David says, Thiago, better start. Are you 100% better? But then he also says, up the Kop TV, happy new year, and well done to all from Diego. Just a quick one. We've actually put out 360 videos on the channel this year. We started on January the 2nd, and that actually works out to be almost one every single day. So we do really appreciate it when you like the video, when you share it, when you comment and subscribe, of course. So please keep doing that. It really does help. But until Tuesday, we'll see you then.